Tonight we have really some interesting things going on. If you read this chapter, which I'm sure you did, then you saw that we have a lot to swallow tonight. We're moving on. This hill that we've been climbing just suddenly got a little steeper, but we're up for it. We're going to be moving on. This is a point of the beginning of true transformation. Let me start off by asking this question: who are you? Now, if you're alone, it'll be fine. You can just answer out loud and you won't embarrass yourself. If you're with somebody else, you can just answer to yourself, or if you like, answer out loud. But I'm going to ask you this question several times, and I do not want you to think about it. Don't think about it. Who am I? Let's see. No. I say, who are you? Just put out the first thing that comes to your mind. Ready? Who are you? Who are you? Don't give me the same answer. Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Thank you. Now hold all those answers in your mind for just a minute, because those are not who you are. Those are how you experience yourself. Those are ways in which you experience yourself, but it's not who you are. What we think of those as titles. I'm a mother, I'm a father, I'm a man, I'm a woman, whatever that is. But all those are titles. You're not that. When you leave this planet, when you shake loose of this body and go on to the next dimension, if somebody stops you on the way and says, who are you? Surely you're not going to use one of those titles. That's the you I'm interested in tonight. The real you, the eternal you, the spiritual you, the one you. That's total joy and total love and total bliss. You know that we experience our universe by listening, by smelling, by tasting, by touching, mostly by seeing, don't we? We experience our universe by seeing. But you know what? Most of the universe cannot be experienced. Only 1% of it is visible. Did you know that? Only 1% of our universe is visible. There are light travels in waves, doesn't it? And the gamma rays are the really fast, high frequency waves. And incidentally, let me remind you, if you saw that in this book, frequency just means the period of time that it takes for a number of waves to go by. This high frequency means those wave groups are going by really fast. So in 1 second, how many wave groups can go through? Boom, 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 boom. That's higher frequency. So now there are gamma rays. They're really fast. Then there's X-rays. Not so fast, but still fast. And then there's infrared rays. And then there's radio waves. So those 4. But we're crowded in our visual spectrum. We're crowded somewhere in between X-rays and infrared rays. And our area of that is tiny, 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 tiny. Less than 1% of all of the overall rays, the overall light frequencies that we know of. I mean, we don't know of all of them, but the ones that we know of, we're only less than 1% of those in the way we see. So tonight we're going to talk about how do we get to see more of that, and why should we? Who cares? I can see the beautiful sky and a wonderful tree and that beautiful person over there. What more do I need to see? What else you need to see is you. Because all the things that we're looking at, the trees, the stars, the mountains, the sea, the beautiful child, the beautiful woman, the beautiful guy, all those things that we're seeing are reflections of who we are. Otherwise, we couldn't see them. So if we are able to see more, we're able to see more of ourselves. So we have to be able to experience more than then our five senses, smell, touch, hearing, sight, those things, those are pretty limited. I want to read something to you. Yeah, you already read this because you read this chapter, but I just want to remind us of something here. This is on, if you want to follow along, this is on page 89. Let me get my cheaters on here. Page 89, last paragraph. What all this means, in effect, is that we are quite literally beings of light, each radiating a very vital life force and expressing an actual light field around our bodies. You ever seen that? Have you ever seen somebody's aura? The totality of each cell expressing and contributing to a vital field of light that carries a message. See, light is frequency, and all frequency has information in it. All frequencies carry information. It would be safe to say then that the more we define reality with our senses and live our lives as materialists, focusing primarily on the physical, and therefore the more we turn on the stress response, the more we may be missing out on valuable information about what? About us, about life, about reality, about eternity. People are afraid of dying, terrified of dying. You can understand why. They're only seeing this much of reality. If they could see all of reality, they no doubt see that death is a lie. You can't die. That's because the more we keep narrowing our focus on matter, objects, things, people, and places in our outer world, the less able we are to sense those other frequencies that aren't available to the naked eye. And if we're unaware of them, they do not exist for us. If we're unaware of them, they do not exist for us. Now I'm going to shut up for a minute. We haven't had a chance to say hello, but I wanted to give you some meat to chew on. Tonight we're going to be talking about frequencies. We're going to be talking about light. We're going to be talking about energy. We're going to be talking about information. We're going to be talking about energy centers. It's going to be pretty darned interesting. But right now I'd like to hear from you. I'd like for you to check in and let me know what you're thinking, what happened over these last 2 weeks, any miracles that happened, any wonderful things that occurred. Just unmute yourself and jump in.
Yeah, if you'd like to speak, if you could please click in the reaction button at the bottom of the screen and just raise your hand.
Yeah. Don't make me call on it.
I saw somebody raise their hand. I thought, there we are. Okay, we'll go ahead with Nancy.
What was your question again, Bob?
I want to know what happened over these last 2 weeks. I want to know if any miracles came your way. I want to know whether the course that we're taking right now, whether it's actually moving you, whether it's actually changing your life.
Well, this is my first class, actually, in the supernatural. But I've been experiencing lots of miracles and lots of change. And I think it started a couple of weeks ago when you talked about, it was the crucifixion and the resurrection, when you talked about we are love. And I've been constantly reminding myself of that. And when I do, things fall into place naturally. I'm not trying to, I've lost interest in trying to control, because whatever force is inside me knows way more than I do. And people come towards me. Right now, someone hacked into my computer. Well, that could be a disaster, but I've kind of just taken it one step at a time, and people are coming forward and saying, well, try this, do that, do this, do this. And I'm not orchestrating any of it, and it's all working out. It's funny because I've been having a lot of migraines, but through this process, just today, because I was overexerting, I started getting a migraine. But the last few days, when I've just been letting things flow, not a single migraine. And I've always believed in the mind-body connection, so it doesn't surprise me.
The mind-body connection. Thank you. Thank you, Nancy. I'll tell you, the mind-body connection. Joe Dispenza, who wrote this book, also wrote a book called The Placebo. You Are the Placebo. And we've taken that course. And what he talks about very clearly is that if you think you are, you are. If you think you are well, you are. If you think you are sick, you are. If you think you are getting well, you are. The next time all of those who have chronic pain or suffer from some severe pain, the next time you have that pain, do this for me. Figure out how big of a container that pain would have to fit in. Maybe it'd be a 50-gallon drum or a swimming pool or a lake, or what kind of a container, the amount of pain that you have, what kind of a container would it take to fit that? And then pour it from there into the next smallest container, the next smaller container. So if it's a barrel, pour it into the next smaller container, a smaller barrel. And then from there, be aware that that's pain. Always know that that's your pain. Pour it into the next smallest. And then to the next, keeping in mind that it's your pain. And to the next smallest. And to the next, until finally it's in a drinking glass. And then pour it into a smaller glass, and a smaller glass, until finally you're pouring it into a thimble. And when you get it into a thimble, then check and see if that's really the amount of pain you have. What I've just done in going through this is not minimize the pain. I'm going to give you the secret behind this. What I have not done is minimize the pain. I've minimized my reaction to the pain, because suffering is resistance to pain. Suffering and pain are not the same thing. When I stop resisting pain, the amount of the pain goes down, and the act of pouring pain. I know this. I know it well. I mean, I teach this, and yet I still do it. I'm in terrible pain. Well, pouring it into smaller and smaller containers, because my mind says, well, it's less than it was. Now it's even less than it was. Now it's even less than it was. It's just a mind trick. And when it gets down, you'll still have pain, but you no longer have suffering. Will you try that, Nancy?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please click the raise hand button.
Are you talking to me?
No, you're fine.
Oh, okay.
Who do I have?
Okay, we've got Ann Devlin. Just a moment. Hi, Ann. I'll unmute you. We can hear you now.
Hi, Ann.
Hi, Bob. So on Friday, I had to go to the doctor because I had this weird numbness and tingling down my right thigh, and I found out that I have shingles, and it's been kind of painful. And he said, "Oh, it'll probably last like 3 to 5 weeks." And I thought, "Oh, great, you know." But I'm doing a meditation, and it's helped me a lot. And it's already, like, I can tell that it's on its way out. And it's been probably 5 days since Friday, and it's all scabbed over now. Blister points that they were I don't know if you know the ortho shingles, but it's like a pimple break, but it's itchy and it's painful. And yeah, I seem to have sped up the course of the disease, and I'm okay now. Yeah. So anyway, I am super thankful for the meditations, because I've been doing the blessing of the energy centers meditation, I think it's called.
Yes, perfect. Thank you. I have had shingles. I understand how painful it is. Those little blisters are just pretty amazing.
Yes. Where did you have yours?
Pardon?
Where was your shingles located?
All on my ribs.
Yeah.
Back along my ribs.
Yeah.
I still have scars there, so it's cool, because it looks like I've been a tough guy.
Yeah. So I'm very, very grateful for this work.
Good. So if that pain starts bothering you, you can do the pouring thing.
Yeah, I love that analogy. I've never heard of that before. I love it. I'm going to try that. Thank you.
Thank you.
If Feel free to raise your hand. You don't have to wait. You can do it while someone else is speaking as well. There we go. We got Brenda Pilo in just a moment, Brenda. And we're bringing you in, and we will unmute you.
Good evening, Brenda.
You know, I had shingles, and I agree, it's not fun. So you're very powerful to get rid of that. And I had a case. I had a sore back, a little bit lower back, and I was actually quite tired. So, but I wanted to change that. So I went out and had a really nice day at Harrison Lake today, out near, or somewhere near where I live. And then I came back, and I could have chosen to be tired and take a nap before coming to Bob Trask, but I really didn't want to. I just wanted to be energized. So instead of succumbing to, it wasn't pain, but tiredness, I went out and I mowed the lawn instead.
Good for you.
Yeah, and I actually felt better, and I told myself I was going to, that the exercise and doing something and not giving in to the tiredness would actually alert me and make me more alert and feel better. So that's
perfect. Perfect. Linda, thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
Anyone else? No? I asked who you are. Did somebody come in yet, Randy?
No, not
Okay.
yet.
I asked who you are, and you gave some answers. And I said to you, those are experiences of yourself. That's not who you are. Who you are is a light body. A light body, as Dr. Joe said in this chapter. In other words, you are light. You saw the one outline in the chapter that shows how the subatomic particle turns into an atom, and the atom turns into a molecule turns into a cell turns into a part of the body becomes the body, but yet it's still a conglomeration of those subatomic particles. It's nothing more. We're I've said this before, I'll do it again. We're 99.99999999999% space. The amount that we are solid is almost infinitesimal. We are light. Now, why is that important? Because the sharings we're hearing tonight are about healing. And if the sharings are about healing, then that means that there's something in the cohesion, in the coherence of the light body that's out of whack. You got to be careful with this, because in this new thought, new age kind of medium, what people do is say, what is it about you such that you would get sick or have a disease, or like it's like you did something wrong, like it's fault. It's not fault. We have these bumps in the road so that we can grow, so that we can learn. Nancy got shingles, and so she was really having a hard time with her body. She went to the doctor. He said, you've got shingles. It'll last, 4 to 6 weeks or whatever. And so what she's done already is started healing herself. If she didn't get the shingles, she wouldn't have found that power. She's exercising her right to be free. And you need to be doing the same thing as a light body. All around you are other light bodies. And we make the biggest mistake of looking at them and saying, oh, that's a personality. That's a guy, that's a gal, that's a bank president, that's a cop. Those are titles. There's one being in this universe, in this multiverse, there's one being. We can call it God or Great Spirit or Holy Spirit or the Great Presence or the Great Mind or divine consciousness or the divine matrix. We can call it whatever we want, but it's all through everything. It's present in all things, and it's present in you and me as you and me. That's the magic. That's the magic, is that we are God. We are the divine matrix. But we have this idea about ourselves that we have to struggle. And we will struggle, but we don't have to struggle. We get to struggle. I just keep bringing back this story when my daughter was playing soccer when she was probably in 7th grade, something, and her team was not doing well. And today they were going to go play the #1 top team. This team it was undefeated, top team. This team was going all the way. Her team had barely scraped by and gotten 1 or 2 wins. So the game was going to be played up high in the high country, and it was snowing, and it was a wet, slushy, yucky snow. And when we got to the soccer field, it was wet, it was slushy, it was muddy, it was icy, it was cold, the wind was blowing. And so I said to the girls, you don't have to play. You don't have to play. We can just forfeit the game. They thought I was nuts. Are you kidding me? We're playing. They knew it was going to be hard. They knew they were probably going to get beat, but they wanted the challenge. You and I face the same kind of challenges daily, and we shirk from them. We pull back. We think that somehow this isn't part of the game, but it is part of the game. It's the game of life. It's the magnificent, marvelous game of life. And it's filled with miracles. And what we need to do as light bodies is to learn to trust the light. Another name for light is grace. Amazing grace. Amazing grace flowing as the presence of Holy Spirit in our lives at all time. And then we say, oh, I don't know. Wow, man, I just don't. Well, where's the faith? Where's the faith? Where's the trust in self, and the trust in eternity, the trust in the great mind? I was having a deep conversation with somebody today about consciousness. And scientists have now come to the conclusion that, not all scientists, mind you, not all scientists, but many scientists, physicists, have come to the conclusion that there had to be some kind of a consciousness or intelligence before the Big Bang. Otherwise, how could the Big Bang have happened? I mean, they're still not willing to identify that supreme consciousness as the one creative energy of all the universes. I mean, I heard one of the scientists talking one time, and he said, well, our ultimate goal is to try to prove God. And I thought to myself, you're going about this backward. First, you have to find God and know God. And then you can set up ways to show people that for sure this is God. But you can't prove God. God's not ice cream. So eventually we get there. But you and I, we're free of that. You and I have the ability in this moment, in this very moment in our lives, in this very moment, to inhale Holy Spirit, to inhale the light that we are, and to exhale the light that we are, to inhale and exhale the light that we are. Because we're energy. We're energy. And I want to ask you something. Have you ever been somewhere when someone walked into the room and all of a sudden the room changed? The atmosphere in the room changed? Somebody walked in and smiled and looked around, and suddenly the music turned up louder and the lights got lighter and everything seemed happier. And the opposite sometimes happens too, isn't it? People come in and they douse the lights and they douse the energy. When you see someone's energy doing that, I want you to pay attention. This is a light body, and you are a light body. So match that glow with your glow. You know, I must tell you that most of us grew up in families where we were told to not be big shots, don't be a big smart ass, don't talk about yourself, don't be boastful, don't put yourself out there, be very quiet, very careful, be very polite, be very self-demurring. And I can tell you that if you are magnificence, if you are the personification of the great mind of God, what business do you have of trying to be nothing or less? And I'm not saying that we have to brag, but we need to stand tall and put a big smile on our face and reach out to the world and say, here I am. I'm a light body. The light in me is the light of the world. At this moment, there are subatomic particles in my body, electrons that probably were in the body of Jesus the Christ. Probably were in the body of Buddha. We're all one. We're all hooked together. We're all one. So as a light body, you have the ability to touch, to uplift, to embrace other people just with your energy, just with your vibration, the vibration of your energy. Randy, can we see that first slide? I want to just show you something.
You're seeing it, Bob?
I don't see it.
Yeah, it is
Oh,
up.
I see it now. Yeah, it's very tiny. Can you highlight it?
I think your screen might be minimized. Darren and Ann, can you see it full screen? Nod your head? Yes. Yeah, everybody else is seeing
I
it full
see exactly what you're saying. So here's what we are in becoming a light body. We have to get beyond the analytical mind, and these wavelengths of beta, alpha, theta, and delta. And incidentally, when we go around in our daily life, obviously, we're in the beta waves, right? That's what we're in the beta waves. We're in the beta waves. We have 5% of our consciousness, our thinking brain, 5%. In alpha, we start getting down more into the analytical, and then theta, subconscious, and then in delta, the autonomic nervous system. So when we go around through life with not seeing the reality of things, to get outside of our analytical mind, to not have to figure it out. See, here's the game plan. We all want to understand. Maybe you came to this class saying, I'm going to take this class from Bob because maybe after this I'll understand more. Well, maybe you will, but that's not my goal. My goal isn't for you to understand one single thing more. My goal is for you to know, not understand. There's a big difference between knowing and understanding, because understanding is a conglomeration of facts. Knowing is pure light, pure oneness. And you do it all the time. You just do it all the time. You're perfectly flowing with the light. All the time you're doing that. I know you are. Now, what I'd like to do is have a breakout rooms. And I want to tell you the question I want you to work on. And I'm going to give you a little time in the breakout rooms because this is a serious question. And please, please, please stay focused on the question. And if it was an easy knock it off question, I wouldn't give it to you. So it's going to take some contemplation and sharing. Now, when we're in your breakout rooms and you're sharing, no one can give you any advice. Forbidden. No advice in breakout rooms. But in a breakout room, if you're a little confused about what the person means, you can ask questions. You can ask questions, but you cannot give advice. Now, make sure that everyone in your breakout room gets time. And the best way to do that is for each of you to just take maybe 3 or 4 minutes and talk. And then when you get through, then you can go back and spend more time each talking. But I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to share and stay on topic. So here's your question. Do you sense others' energy? Do you? Now, I'm not going to, the answer to that is yes, because the next question is how? How do you sense it? You feel it, you see it, you hear it, you get a tingling in your spine. How do you sense that? It's an important question because the rest of this evening is going to be about that sensing energy. So.
And can you give an example?
Yes. So.
I mean, can the participants share examples
please,
with one another?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you, Randy. Yes, absolutely. I really would love it if you'd give an example or give several examples. My uncle Herman, when he was around, I always noticed there was something strange about him. Now, when I think about it, I can sense that that was his energy. It was a beautiful energy coming off of him, even when he didn't say anything. And when he talked, there was a different kind of energy. I can sense the energy. See, my friend, that's our communication. The words don't mean much. It's our communication. Do you know there was a college study done about communication? Now you're listening to me, so I'm communicating with you. Here's what the test proved: that only 7% of the communication you're receiving from me right now is from my words. 7% of what you're receiving from me right now in terms of communication, the ideas, the thoughts, the awarenesses are from my words. 35% is from my tone of voice, is from my enthusiasm, from the energy of my voice. All of the rest of it is from my body, from my posture. So what we're really saying, and they couldn't go there in the college trial, what we're really saying is that we're communicating to each other on a totally different level. We're just using our words and our voices to sing to each other, to hold each other's attention. And we can just sing our song to each other. I'll sing my song to you. And that's all we're doing. When our ancestors were in the caves, they didn't have words. When they finally found their voices, they would grunt and moan and whatever to impress each other. But they were communicating way beyond words. Now we are so prolific in our eloquence of words. Oh my goodness, we've got so many words. But see, they get in the way, just like thinking gets in the way. They get in the way of who we really are and what our real communication is. We keep saying in this ministry, there's only love. There is nothing but love. Only love. Everything else, nothing else matters. Jesus said, I give you one commandment greater than all the other commandments. And in this, all the laws of all the prophets are wrapped up in this one law. The only law is love. Love your God. He didn't say my God. Love your God with your whole heart, your whole soul, your whole might, everything. And love your neighbor as yourself. And when he said love your neighbor as yourself, he didn't say love your neighbor as you would love yourself. He was saying love your neighbor as yourself, because your neighbor is yourself. Love your God, love your spirit, and love your neighbor as if your neighbor is yourself, because your neighbor is yourself. And that's the light body. That's the energy. That's the eternal you. So what I'm asking you in the breakout rooms is, can you feel someone else's energy? Give us an example. And how do you feel it? How do you experience it? Is it in your brain? How do you experience it? You're gonna have to dig a little bit to make this happen. But as you talk about it, you'll, I think, grow into an awareness of how this works. Okay? I want to talk to you a little bit about what you just talked about in the breakout room. You have the ability as a light being to move outside of your ego, outside of the restrictions of your brain body, into your heart body, and into other parts of your consciousness. You have the ability to actually transform other people just by your energies. Now, I know that some people are negative, and some people are bitter, and some people are shut down, but I want to tell you that those kinds of energies don't have any power. They don't have the power of the universe with them. The energy of grace, the energy of love is cohesive with, is flowing with, is in harmony with the power of the universe. And when you, as a light body, and your light extends out from you, I mean, it's measurable out like 6 to 8 feet from you, and beyond that. So if you'll stop being, pardon me if it sounds like I'm being bossy and lectury, I don't know how quite how else to say it. But if you'll stop being ego and stop being mind and stop being self and stop being who am I am this person, if you'll stop being that and just be love, the energy of love, just be the energy of love. So I learned that quite some time back. So part of what I do is I sometimes do work with big corporations in leadership and in light leadership, spiritual leadership, though we don't call it spiritual leadership when we're working with big corporations. But at one time, the federal government, the United States federal government, had a big labor problem going on with a big part of the department in the federal government. And they were at an impasse. They couldn't come to an agreement. They just couldn't come to an agreement. So they asked me if I would come in. Well, what they're asking me, if I was in my head brain, they're asking me to do something impossible. This guy's angry and stubborn and it's not moving. This guy's angry and stubborn and he's not moving. So what can you do? Here's what I did. Here's what I'm asking you to do. I said to one guy, I'm going to call him Frank. I said, Frank, what would it take for you to be in agreement with this? And he said something that was absolutely impossible. I said, thank you, thank you, thank you. I really heard you. I really heard you. Excuse me. And I think you're right, Frank. I think you're right. I said to Joe, tell me what you want, what the bottom line, what you have to have. And he said that. And I said, boy, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. You deserve that. You people deserve that. I think that's exactly right. Thank you for sharing. And then I went back over and I said, what would you say back to him because of that? Now, I want to ask you to please don't comment negatively. Tell him what he would have to do in order to change that so it would be digestible to you. He made some cockamamie, silly, half-assed statement about what it would take. And I said, I think you're right. I think you're right. That's good thinking on your part. I went back over to Joe, back and forth, Frank and Joe. Finally, Joe said, this guy never disagrees with anything. And then everybody in the room started laughing because see, what it took to break the impasse was for people to stop disagreeing and start finding levels upon which we can agree. So what I'm asking you to do is be a light body. I'm asking you see, if you're a light body, then you're in service. And listen to me, when you're in service, your emotions and your needs stop at the end of your nose. I'm in service to you. That means you can't insult me, you can't hurt me, you can't put me down. Doesn't matter because I'm not here for me, I'm here for you. I'm just here for you. I'm just going to keep showering you with love. And you can call me anything you want. You can spit on me. It doesn't matter because I'm not important here. You're important. I'm just going to keep giving you my love. The reason people are mean or people are ornery or people are negative, listen to me, is because they're afraid. They're afraid. And if you can get enough love flowing into them, it takes their fear down so that they become manageable as friends and as co-inhabitants of this universe. We must do that, my friends. We're here in this Unity Spiritual Center. We are one of the tiny, tiny fraction of people on the planet that see the pathway. We can't keep it to ourselves, nor can we go out and proselytize. Let me tell you about unity. That we don't care about that. We care about just giving love, just healing somebody, waking somebody up. Just like let them feel your love. Let them feel your love. So you're in a checkout line at the store. That person that's over there adding up your groceries, that's somebody that you can zap. You can zap that person. That's what my wife Mary calls it, zapping them. You can zap that person. Is that a new blouse? No. I've always loved that color and I never saw that fabric before, but that's beautiful and it's perfect for you. You know what? You just made her day. All people have been doing is taking from her, taking from her, taking from her. You're here giving to her. You're the river flowing in instead of the river flowing out. You want nothing back except the opportunity to be in service to the light. In service to the light. So we have a candle. So here's a candle, and I'll light it. So there's a candle, and you probably can't see that it's lit because it's bright in here. So here's the candle, and this candle's got only one job, and that's to be in service to the light. It's its only job. It's dedicated and committed to that. And it has a wick that runs up the center like your spine. And that wick only has one purpose in being, and that's to be in service to the light. And then there's the flame. The flame. So what's the purpose of the flame? The purpose of the flame is to be in service to the light. The flame's not the light. That's you. That's you as love, being in service to the light. And the light shines out on other people and on other things. And when it hits them, it reflects back. And when it reflects back, it is equal. A mirrored light is equal to the first shine of light. And you caused that. You can set that ricochet going up all around through your community, everywhere, by just being the light. I want to move on. We have a little time left. I want to talk about chakras. Chakras, if you go online and look up chakras, you're going to see people that agree that there are chakras, people that don't think there are chakras, people that think that it's all nonsense. But as you can see, chakras have a pretty strong background. So here's the pituitary plexus, the pituitary gland, but I'm not going to call them by those. What I'm going to do is talk about the seventh chakra, which is the one up on top, and then the sixth chakra, which is the one down below. The seventh chakra is at the very top of your head. It's called the crown chakra. Then the next one down is in the third eye. It's in the center of your forehead. That's called the third eye. That's the sixth chakra. The fifth chakra is actually in the throat. That's the fifth chakra. Then the fourth chakra is in the heart. It's the heart chakra. And then the next chakra down is just between the heart and your navel. That's your power chakra. That's the third chakra. Then below that, just between your navel and your pubic bone, is the next chakra. That's your digestive chakra. That's actually your balance chakra. That's where you stay balanced. And then the bottom chakra, the kundalini, the sexual chakra. Now, I'm going to start at the bottom and move up because I'm going to have as your homework. I want you to go into chapter 4, and I want you to do that energy center meditation at least twice this week. So here's how we start. We go to the root chakra, the bottom chakra, and find space around it, and visualize space around that part of your body. There is space around that part of your body. In fact, that part of your body is all space anyway. But visualize the sacredness of that space. Fill it with your energy, with your love, with your forgiveness. If you may have some sexual things that happen to you in your life or some sexual guilt, this is the time to get rid of all that. Just surround that area with love and with light. And then let that energy move up into the next chakra, which is the chakra of balance, which is that chakra between your pubic bone and your navel. And surround that space in light. Fill it with light, fill it with love. And then move that up to the next level. And that's then the heart chakra. Not the heart chakra. This is your power chakra and your solar plexus. It's between the lower chakra and your heart. It's just below your rib cage. That's where you carry your anxiety. When you get upset, that's that place that gets all tightened up. And surround that with light. Surround it with love. Relax it. Say words of forgiveness. Whatever you have to do to get that light going so that you can raise it then up to your heart chakra. To the heart chakra. The beautiful heart chakra. That's all passion and love and kindness and caring. And now there's something different is happening because in those first three chakras, it was all about me. It was about my sexuality or my groundedness or my balance or my anger or my creativity. Now it's about you. Now it's about you. Now it's my loving you, my doing art for you, my singing to you, my being with you. And then I move up to the throat chakra. And that throat chakra is the voice, is the place where I can express that love coming up through my throat. That's why that chakra is important. Once again, it's not about me. And then up to my third eye, the chakra of perception, where I can see truth, where I can see the reality of things, where I can see the energy of other people, where I can feel the energy of other people. And then up to the crown chakra. And the crown chakra holds all of those together in one light, and your whole body becomes bathed in a gorgeous light. And then you, as the candle, have the wick and the energy centers and the fire of love. So I want to now go back and talk about three of those that are important to me, because I want you to do all those chakras. But I really want you to know a few scientific facts about three of those. And one is we'll start at the bottom. No, I'll start at the top, in fact. The head, the brain, the chakras that have to do with the brain. The brain has 68 or 86 billion neurons. 86 billion neurons. And each one of those neurons has a little synaptic gap between it and the next neuron, and they're firing ideas and thoughts and identities across those synaptic gaps. And there may be 10 or 15 or 1,000 or whatever those going on for each one of those neurons. There's more synaptic gaps being fired on in your brain than there are stars in this galaxy. That's how many are going on in your brain. 86 billion neurons. So then let's keep that in mind and just hold it there for a minute. Let's go down to our heart. Our heart is also a mind. Our heart is also a mind. It has 40,000 incredible neurons. 40,000 neurons. And that doesn't sound like a lot compared to the 86 billion that are in the head, except that the heart sends more information and more messages to the brain than the brain does to the heart. And the heart captures the essence of life, whereas the brain captures the facts of life. Now let's hold those together. Let's move down to the gut, to the gut chakra. That's the second chakra. And I want to tell you that I'm going to read something to you here. That energy carrying the conscious intention is activating. Maybe I better put my glasses on. Might help, huh? That energy carrying the conscious intention is activating the reproductive center, and the mind in the brain is influencing the mind in the body at the level of the individual nerve plexus. This mind located in that specific area of the body through this mini brain operates on a subconscious level through the autonomic nervous system. And then it goes on to say, the second center, that's the gut, second center also has its own mind. And when we activate its mini brain, and thus its mind, we trust our gut, and the same sequence of events happens in this center as we just saw in the first energy center, but with different corresponding neurocircuitry, hormones, chemicals, emotions, energy, and information. In fact, this area has been called the second brain because of the hundreds of millions of neurons and neural connections here, more than exist in either the spinal cord or in the peripheral nervous system altogether. In fact, 95% of the serotonin, the feel-good hormone, 95% of that is found not in your brain, but in your bowels. 95%. So when you're depressed or somebody's depressed, they say, well, we're going to put you on a serotonin reuptake inhibitor because we need that serotonin in your brain to do what it's supposed to do. And people think, well, that serotonin must come from my brain. It doesn't. It comes from our gut. We're creating it in our gut. So those are three minds: the head mind, the heart mind, and the gut. So when you move those out of your body, when you move them out and let them become infused with one another as energy forms, you have such wisdom, you have such power to change your life and to change the life of others. But you can get stuck. Look at this. See, if you don't keep that flow going, then the energy gets stuck. And if it gets stuck, then it can't flow all the way up and down the tree. So when you're doing that blessing of the energy centers and you come to a chakra that's stuck, then you need to unstick it. You need to breathe through it and bless it and forgive it. Randy, let's go to the next one. Because the normal light field around you and the diminished light field of people who are in survival, who just are stuck in the bottom three centers, they don't get up into the heart, the throat, the third eye, and the higher mind. The light field is diminished. So here's how you'll know. There's somebody in your life that you could be pouring that light into. I don't mean that you're trying to convert them or trying to woo them or trying to make them your friend. It's not about you. You just find any opportunity you can to give them love. And you don't even have to let them know you're giving them love. Just pour your love into them constantly, continually. And if you ever feel a little bit like, well, I don't want to give this guy love, he's kind of a rat, then you know that you're stuck in one of the bottom three chakras. So you have to breathe through that, forgive it, come back out. Because where we're going, my dear friends, where we're going somewhere as a group, as a family here. We're going somewhere as Unity Center. We're going into a powerful international community of people who are bringing a new light onto the planet. And you and I are starting that right now, right here. So we need to be willing to be love, to be who we are as love, and let everything else go by blessing these energy centers and by keeping the light body alive. So your homework is do the energy center blessing of your energy centers at least twice, if not every day, between now and our next meeting. And then read chapter 5 and experience yourself as much as you possibly can being for pure light. Get in the habit of being light, not being a body, not having an identity. My name's not Bob, I'm not a man, I'm pure light, I'm love. I just happen to have this as a vehicle, but I'm just pure love, and I'm here to spread the love. Just be that. I love you.